targeted by these things since I was a child, followed, harassed, haunted and more. Hello, I'm 21 years old and I have a deep feeling and suspect that I have been hunted by Wendigo dogmen ever since I was around 12 years old, and I'll go into as deep as I possibly can about the whole backstory, and why I think this in a moment here, but first I want to explain some things. I've had encounters all my life, all horrible and horrifying, and I even had initially suspected aliens or alien abduction just because it's so hard for someone to wrap their mind around the whole possible existence of cryptids and inhuman beings. So here are the number one things that I experienced during, before and after I have encountered these things or even felt them come near. Burning, raging and powerful fear that grows as I think about the possibility of them being around. Tapping at my windows, scratches at the door as if my dog is trying to get inside but I open it with nothing there to be seen. Feeling like I am not alone or safe in my own home or my mind at certain times, specifically nighttime. The fear and the feeling of an entity being around has even caused me at some times in my life to just accept that I had to sleep in the daylight and awake at night so I could be careful and protect myself somehow. Dreams of them, not often, but very powerful and vivid nightmares of them. I haven't had one in a long time, but usually when I do, it's of me lost in a very dark forest being pursued by something, having one look through my window, and just stare at me the whole duration of my dream. When I had this dream of one of these things at my window, my brother had the same dream, and actually awoke just before me by a very loud and raspy scream he thought came from said window. Yes, we woke at relatively the same time in the middle of the night, as well as shared somewhat the same dream. Rapid heartbeat and anxiety, stress when thinking or speaking of them like I am now. Waking up with scratches that couldn't have been done by me, aka in places I cannot reach or something like that. Even weird and scary as light anomalies near my windows. I'll explain as best I can. My bedroom window is facing our backyard, which faces a very deep woods that encompasses the whole backyard and sides of the house. So in the middle of the night it looked as if car headlights, or even this very still moving flashlight looking light, floating past my window, no bouncing, no shakiness, just this very still bright calm light that came through the blinds once or twice as if someone or something walked by or was trying to see inside. I ran out to my mother and father, who told me nobody was outside, and they checked for me and there was no sign of anyone or anything. Paranoia, extreme excessive sweating and extreme feelings of heat, like a fever when the fear sets in or when I feel one near. And now, I'll try my best to tell every story that I have. Please be kind and supportive, because saying all this for the public or even in general is so hard and causes me great fear, but I know it may help or I could get some advice or help somehow. So, here it goes. Alright, it all starts around the time I was 9 years old, maybe 10 or 11. Around this time I started to naturally astral project, and keep in mind I have always been extremely sensitive to what others cannot see, feel or understand, and I've always been like this. I remember specifically one week that my family and I had a road trip up to Fergus Falls. We live in Minnesota, aka the home of these things besides Canada of course. It took about 3 hours to get there, but it was worth it. Even as a fidgety kid, I loved when we got there, even if it meant such a long period of being cramped and cooped up in a small car. We would go up to visit and stay with my grandparents in this beautiful cabin that they had a timeshare for a while. It had this gong-like bell that you'd ring when you got there that was near the parking area and entrance, and after this, there were wood pathways that spanned about 60 feet from the dirt road where you parked to the actual home, and the sliding glass doors and everything. It was such a beautiful place. We would always immediately go fish because there were always sunfish that loved the corn we would bait our hooks with, usually just throwing them back but sometimes eating them and all that jazz. It was such a soothing and amazing place to be as a child, especially as one that was anxious, abused and bullied. But it always changed at night. One very vivid memory is this one. We had gotten to the cabin, and I was immediately sick as if I had the flu all of a sudden when we got there. I wasn't car sick. We had spaghetti for lunch and I had to lay on the couch while my whole family went out to fish without me. I was in agony. A migraine, nausea, etc. And I had started to get so bad that I stumbled out through the sliding glass door to the deck, leading to the dock where they were fishing. Halfway there, I fell to my knees and threw up all of the noodles I had eaten and yelled for help, and they carried me inside, thankfully feeling only kind of better after vomiting. The rest of the night was a huge blur honestly, but I started to feel better as time passed. Once nightfall and darkness came, my grandparents actually put in an X-Files VHS. As we watched, for some reason I started to get that burning, aching and debilitating fear come in the pit of my stomach, I think because it was the subject of cryptids and aliens etc. That was the first time in my life I had ever felt that kind of fear. Never ever in my little life had I felt something like it before. As if I was close to feeling that there was something near, something that I didn't understand and something that the house walls would not protect me from if needed. And sadly, as they got done watching, I was feeling so much dread knowing it was time for bed because I knew I would not be able to sleep for some odd reason again, as if I knew something would watch me when I was in bed. It was so bad that I had to have my mother come sleep with me, and even then I could not sleep for the life of me. I remember seeing things but not clearly, through windows and the spotlight windows on the ceiling. That's mostly the end of that one. But I have much more. I'll only tell one more of my stories because telling them is causing me to become numb with anxiety and fear seeping in. I was at my other grandparents' home at the time, that I must state that their home is on what used to be Lakota Sioux land, even adjacent to what is called the Sioux Line Trail. I was living there actually while doing online school, and I would have the same exact feelings come at night, but much worse and more powerful, once night came specifically. So, my bedroom door was to my right, closest to the wall I was facing and the bed faced. And right outside my bedroom door, if you took 2 sharp lefts and walked just a few feet, there would be a back door. I thought that in this bout of burning fear, I heard the doorknob rattle or even the door open even if it was locked. Nobody was up. I would have heard and seen them through the angle of my bedroom door. I confirmed it in the morning that nobody was up at that time. This all happened in the span of maybe just 1 or 2 minutes. After I thought I heard this occur, I felt a presence right on the other side of that wall, between me and the back door. The fear somehow grew to an amount I couldn't fathom. And then, so slowly, too slowly, I heard what sounded like a large nail being softly and very creepy-like, slowly dragging across that wall. The sound leading as if it was coming towards my bedroom door, and as the sound got closer, I closed my eyes and started to say prayers out loud, crying and almost peeing my pants because of how scared I was that I might see something peeking at me around that damn bedroom door. It stopped once it got to the end of this wall. I didn't see it, after holding my eyes shut, crying and begging God and Jesus to protect me. I never saw it or its face, it left or disappeared. And I somehow fell asleep. No idea how, told myself it was my mind and that it wasn't real, maybe I was sleeping but I knew I wasn't. I have insomnia, so I know when I am sleeping and when I'm not. If this gets some attention, I will post the rest of my stories and encounters, but until then, I need to stop focusing on these things. Please let me know what you think. Any comments or something would help me a lot in feeling less alone and like I'm not crazy. I've had experiences like this happen too much and too often through my life to be just my mind or just anything else. Does my experiences sound valid and concrete? If you had encounters or heard of people with them, do they have similarities? I just want to feel safe again.